What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Wednesday night real estate recap live stream. I've got a great guest for you tonight. We're going to do something fun tonight. I've got an article I'm going to bring up, and then I have some of these interactive maps where I can look up different areas to see the price appreciation over the last year, and I think even over the last 5 years. But before I do that, I'm going to bring on my friend and my guest coming all the way from Florida. There's a lot happening in Florida, and there's a lot happening here in DC. Adam Miller. So let me bring him on.
Hey,
hello, friend.
What's happening?
Well, actually, we're having beautiful weather up here, and all the cherry blossoms are now out, and like the Maryland beautiful basketball team is like on fire. So we're having a good time up here. What's happening in Florida? Anything new?
Yeah, you sent me that article, and I looked at that. I was like, oh, the top 5 are in Florida. Oh, the top 13 are in Florida. I was like, holy cow! And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it because it is real.
Yeah, so I know you guys are having a hard time down there. You're talking about the 42 housing markets seeing the home prices fall, right?
Yeah, 12 of the first 13 are all in Florida.
Well, let me bring it up so people see what we're talking about. Okay, so here's the article.
The top 3 are in my area.
Oh boy. Well, I want to hear all about it because, it's one thing to read an article. It's another thing to hear somebody who's actually boots on the ground living and working there. So let me read this and see what it says. Hello, David in Omaha. Thank you always for joining us. I really appreciate that. All right. So we got 42 housing markets seeing home prices fall. Is a bigger shift coming? Among the 300 largest metro area housing markets, 42 are seeing falling home prices on a year-over-year basis, according to ResiClub's monthly analysis. Now, ResiClub is Lance Lambert's production, and he's really good. He's a really great data collector and somebody who I trust. Okay. National home prices have risen by 2.1% year over year from February 2024 to February 2025, according to the Zillow Home Value Index. That's a deceleration from the 4.6% year over year rate last spring. However, not every housing market is seeing rising home prices. Among the 300 largest metro area housing markets, 42 markets are seeing falling home prices on a year over year basis. That's up from last month when just 31, that's just last month, when 31 of the nation's 300 largest metro area housing markets had falling year over year home prices. While home prices continue to rise in regions with tight inventory, such as much as the Northeast, Midwest, and Southern California, some housing markets in states like Texas, Florida, and Louisiana, where inventory has now surpassed pre-pandemic 2019 levels, are experiencing modest price corrections. These year-over-year declines are evident in major metros such as Austin, down 3.8%, Tampa, 3.6%, San Antonio, 2%, New Orleans, 1.7%, Phoenix, 1.6%, Jacksonville, 1.5%, Dallas, 1.4%, and Orlando down 1.4%. And you can see where these markets are in this graph. So you're in Florida. Where are you in Florida?
Yep. So number 3 on the list, Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton. That is my area. Punta Gorda is in my area. It's a little further south than us, and then Cape Coral and Fort Myers, not in our multiple listing service. But those, the first one and the third one on the list are in my MLS and in my region.
So down 9% and down almost 7% from last year. What? So tell me. And then you got a lot more in Florida. You got Naples, Marco Island, Panama City, Tampa, Petersburg, Clearwater. All of these are Florida. Florida.
Yep.
Oh boy. Yeah. Got a lot in Florida. Although I heard that like Gainesville, I heard that like Miami is still doing well. Like there are certain parts of Florida that are still.
For sure.
So tell me what you're seeing. Tell me, you work there. How long have you been a realtor down there?
This is year 12.
Okay. In Florida. 'Cause I know you were in Hawaii as well.
But yeah. So in Florida, licensed for, now, let's see, 8 of the 12.
Okay. So that's a long time. So you've been through different, markets, pre-pandemic, through the boom. So tell us what's happening there.
Yeah. So a lot of things. I mean, obviously prices have been inflated in Florida for a long time. During the pandemic, a lot of people moved here. A lot of people from California, the Northeast, helped drive up prices. And then we had 3 hurricanes last year.
Right.
And we can probably talk all day long about that implication, let alone just put aside interest rates and just put aside, the economy and fear of recession and a presidential election. But just the hurricane is causing just massive issues here, just in terms of people not being able to get insurance,
Right.
um, those prices going through the roof. So taxes going up, HOA fees going up. We had a big issue with special assessments. I don't know if we really need to talk about that on this, but it's having an impact on the condo market. Um, it's just like the perfect storm happening in Florida, and a lot of people are leaving. A lot of people are selling because of the storm. So getting back to the storm, a lot of people don't want to rebuild. A lot of people can't get any insurance to rebuild,
Right.
and after getting hit with three back-to-back storms, some people are like, I don't really want to build. Like we went down south, believe it or not, to like the Fort Myers area this past weekend, and we
Okay.
drove up the
Here.
coast, which we've never done before. It goes so south of Fort Myers, which was inundated, probably some of the worst damage in the state of Florida. And I could not believe how many for sale signs were along the beach,
So
both
I'm
sides.
going to take that. I'll put that back up when we go back to it. But just because I want to talk to you and I get distracted when I see the chart. So let me ask you a question. Before the hurricanes, post um, interest rates going up, were you seeing a lot more inventory then, or has it really been, like you said, the perfect storm, like post hurricane, people wanting to get out, like all that stuff? Like, have you seen a drastic change recently, or has this been like the last year or so?
Yeah, it's been not even the last year. I want to say so. The last hurricane was, God, October. October was the last hurricane, and we kind of knew then there was going to be a lot of people who could not afford to rebuild, to the new specifications. A lot of people who just did not have insurance because insurance was so high it wasn't worth it to have, and now have nothing, right? But a lot.
Hmm.
So are forced to sell. And then, of course, you had the interest rates really high, and you had prices really high, and taxes really high. Just everything, cost of living is high, and a lot of people moved down here during the pandemic because it was cheap, and now it's not cheap. And a lot of people are either moving back to where they came from or moving to like Tennessee, South Carolina, um, just some others, Georgia, just some
Right.
other states.
So you're seeing just like tons and tons of inventory. Like, I mean, what does it feel like?
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of rumors are going on where I am in the DC area, like everyone's leaving, the mass exodus. We are definitely feeling a lot of anxiety from all the stuff that's happening with Doge and the
mhm.
firings and the back to office, because we do have a lot of federal workers here, not as much as people think, but we do have a lot, and that's affected, my clients personally. So I know if it's affecting my clients, it's affecting a lot of people. But it's been exaggerated in the news. And there's so much in the news. And I sent you another article on Florida that if we have time, I'll bring up about Florida just being a buyer's market now, and like, foreclosures and, people, all this crazy stuff. Is that true? I mean, is it really bad?
Yeah, it's. I don't want to say it's really bad because I don't want to scare any of my viewers who might be watching, but there's no question it is a massive correction, and it's interesting enough. So on that little list, it breaks it down into Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton, which is kind of like saying you work in D.C., Maryland, Virginia, right? Just a massive area. So
Yeah.
Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton is a humongous area. But Bradenton makes up also the town that I live in, which is Lakewood Ranch. So Lakewood Ranch and Bradenton are kind of sort of the same, not really the same. It's not worth explaining it, but they're kind of the same. And that area is a bubble. It is the most unique place I have ever seen anywhere in the country. And I've talked to other real estate agents. It's a planned unit development. And I say it's a bubble because for the past few years, no matter what was happening in the country, this place was booming.
And by the way, a lot of people will be happy to hear that prices are going down because there's opportunity.
For sure.
You know,
Great.
so so I know it sounds scary the way I asked the question, but also, a lot of people would love to live in Florida and couldn't afford it before because prices did go through the roof during the, pandemic housing boom. And so if they are adjusting, it could be an opportunity for people that really wanted to retire down there or move to warmer climate.
It is a fantastic, and here's why I say it was kind of a bubble. So no matter what was happening in the country, Lakewood Ranch was still booming. It's a planned unit neighborhood. So here's an interesting. So we moved to Maui in 2019.
Right.
And when we left Lakewood Ranch at that time, I want to say there were 10 neighborhoods. Fast forward, we moved back 5 years later, there's 45 neighborhoods within Lakewood Ranch.
What was it before?
There were 10.
But what was it before? Just land? Just like
It was all land. Yeah. All
wow.
land. Yep. And so the interesting thing is, of those 45 neighborhoods, about 20 or so are under construction right now.
Oh,
And those
okay.
builders, as you know, have to build. Some
Yeah.
of them are brand new, like they just broke ground. Some of them are just about wrapping up, like in the next year or so, they won't have any more. But 20 neighborhoods that are under construction is a tremendous amount of inventory. That is just new construction. That is not even talking about all the resale houses that are out there. What we're seeing is people are sensing that the prices are coming down, so they're listing their properties for sale. Without getting too political, we know that there's a lot of Canadians who are listing their properties for sale. We know that there's a lot of people near the beach areas listing their property for sale. So it is the perfect storm in terms of just a ton of new construction. Lots of people leaving, a lot of people who can't get insurance, and just a lot of people selling. Inventory is up through the roof. I have all the stats if you want specifics.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it. So if, I don't want you to get too into the data if you don't want to, but I would personally love to know, what's happening in Florida, because it could be indicative of what's going to happen in other markets in our country. I mean, even this article, it wasn't just about Florida. It's 42 up from 31 from last month.
Sure.
So next month it could be up even more at 300. It's not 42 at 3,000. And yes, a majority of these are Florida, Texas, Arizona. I have one North Carolina. But yeah, it's a couple California, but that's pretty much it. Oh, there's Colorado down here. But really Texas, Florida, and Florida are the majority of these markets where home prices are falling. So,
So
I am curious.
Yeah, I don't want to give you the specific numbers, but I'll tell you that in Manatee County for single family homes, closed sales down, median sale price down, average sale price down, dollar volume down, days on the market significantly higher.
Is this from a year ago or from pre-pandemic? Where is it?
From a year ago. Yep. Year over year. Month supply of inventory is about up to 5 months, which is up 16.7%.
Right.
And that's single family homes. And then I wrote down these numbers because this, I think, sums up exactly what is happening in this market. So this is from our multiple listing service. So just today, this is a little earlier today, 240 properties that adjusted their price. Just today.
Wow.
In the last 24 hours, that number was 380. In the last 3 days, that number was 983. In the last 7 days, it was 2,000. 2,000 properties that had to adjust their price down because properties are sitting and there's lots of competition. And then when we talk about new construction, the incentives that some of the builders are offering are just insane because they're sitting on all this inventory.
Right. Well, like I said, there could be an opportunity for people that, were renting and maybe want to be homeowners, or people that, really wanted to move to Florida to retire, but prices went up so much, in the last 5 years that they couldn't. Maybe this is a, opportunity for them to be able to do what they wanted to do, According to this article, it says the market seeing the most softness where home buyers are gaining leverage are primarily located in Sunbelt regions, particularly the Gulf Coast and Mountain West. These areas saw major price surges during the pandemic housing boom, with home price growth outpacing local income levels. As pandemic-driven migration slowed and mortgage rates rose, markets like Tampa and Austin faced challenges relying on local income levels to support frothy home prices. It's a good point, because if local income levels don't support it, it can't continue,
Right.
The softening trend is further compounded by an abundance of new home supply in the Sunbelt, just what you just said. Builders are often willing to lower prices or offer affordability incentives to maintain sales, which also has a cooling effect on the resale market. Some buyers who had previously considered existing homes are now opting for new homes with more favorable deals. And this is like this little map that they included. And there's other interactive maps that I'm going to bring up. I brought up my area, the Washington, Arlington, Alexandria, DC, Virginia, Maryland, West. I mean, that's a big area. But there's ones that get a little more specific. But in this area, it says in the last 5 years, home prices have gone up 30.8%. In the last year, they've gone up 4%. inventory shift since pre-pandemic is down 28.1%. And this is, when people are talking about everyone's leaving this area, which is just not true. If you look at, there's, like I said, I have different maps. This one is Florida. When it's red, it's, I guess, the worst. So red is the worst.
Yeah, that's my area.
But this is it, Cape Coral?
Or we're a little north of there, but Cape Coral's in
Cape Coral.
They're going to be hurting for sure.
North Point, Sarasota. But if you look at this, is north. How do you say that again? Bradenton.
Bradenton, yeah.
Bradenton. So yes, 1 year it's almost down 7%, but 5 years it's up 51%.
That's massive. That get a load of this. So when we moved to Maui, now it's 6 years ago, we sold our house for $395. It got listed and went into escrow this week. Very painful. When we're talking about painful, because I would have loved to bought it back for twice as much.
Yeah.
Twice as much.
So, and by the way, if you guys are watching this live and you want me to look up your area, I will try. I can't promise it'll be on here, but if it's a dot, I will look it up for you because I think it's really interesting. Because down 7% or 6.9% over a year, it sounds terrible, but up over 50% in 5 years. I mean, you got a lot of bandwidth here to adjust and correct. Yep. It says, will this softening continue this year? A key indicator to watch will be active inventory levels. If weaker markets like Tampa continue to see substantial increases in active inventory already above pre-pandemic levels, it may signal ongoing softening, potentially creating more opportunities for home buyers, which is what we were just talking about.
The opportunities for buyers are just phenomenal, which stinks as a listing agent. But for buyers, it's unbelievably fantastic right now.
Let's see what we have over here. Slippin' Jimmy says, what is the state of Florida doing for all the homeowners who can't get insurance? They can't have all these people without homeowners insurance.
Well, I guess good news, bad news. So right after the hurricanes, a lot of the insurance companies left, right? Because they're in the risk reward business. Right. They left. We were stuck with Citizens, which is kind of like the default, like backup plan. Now, a lot of those companies and other companies came back. So there are at least options for people to get insurance, but I don't think there is a plan because a lot of people did not have insurance for a couple of reasons. One, because they didn't necessarily need flood insurance, but didn't have it because it just wasn't worth it. Just wasn't worth to spend the money. And now their house is, destroyed. And there's no money coming in to fix it. So are they doing anything? I have not heard anything that the government is doing to help lower the cost of insurance. And my gut is telling me that, first of all, cash sales are up here, especially on condos, because a lot of people can't get insurance.
And also, I know that like DeSantis was talking about getting rid of property taxes or something. I don't know.
That's a completely another thing, which, you got to get the money from somewhere, right? So if they take it from the property taxes, it's going to come from somewhere, most likely from visitors, right? We've seen that happen before too. But to answer that guy's question or gal's question, I don't think there is a plan. And I still think that there will be people who potentially build and then just don't get insurance. And cross their fingers.
Good friend, Christina Smallhorn came on to say hello. Hey. Hello there, Christina.
What's up, Christina?
Thanks for coming over. Christina, your area, you're in Louisiana. Where the hell is Louisiana? It's Missouri, Alabama.
Down.
Where's Louisiana? Here, right? I think where are you, Christina, in Louisiana? You're somewhere, Baton Rouge, maybe near there? So that says 1 year change in home prices have been going up 2% and 5 years up 21.4%. See, that's the thing with Florida, your prices went up so much.
That's because a lot of people moved here from, like I said, the Northeast, where your area too, right? $1 million house is nothing in that area.
Yes, we have. She says, "Howdy, yes, we have a shift in New Orleans. Baton Rouge is fine." Interesting.
You sell that $1 million house and come down to Florida and buy a $500,000 house with cash.
Yeah, here's New Orleans. So it's down 1.7% in a year, and in 5 years, only up 1.2%. Wow.
Yeah, interesting.
That is interesting. I haven't seen numbers like that at all. 3 years down 12.2%. Interesting. Wow, I'll have to look more into that. Yeah, so I'm way up here, and I have other maps. It's a little awkward that have a little bit more like county specific rather than area. Because like I said, this is my area and it's covering so much. So it says prices have gone up 30% in 5 years and 4% in 1 year. Well, certain areas have gone up a lot more than 4% in the last year, and others they haven't at all. So
Yeah.
it really
I remember when 4% was like the normal.
Right.
Yeah.
4 to 5%, you were happy, you
4 to
know?
5%, yeah.
That was for
David
years. Says, how about Omaha, Nebraska? Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me find Nebraska.
Americans in geography.
Is this Nebraska? Is any Nebraska?
Yeah. Look at you.
Look at me. Omaha. I know this is riveting. Live.
There you go.
Here we go. Look at me. I found it. Okay. Omaha, Nebraska. 1 year change. Home prices are up 2.6%. 5 year up 43.3%.
Yeah, that pandemic, man.
Inventory shift since February 2019, 0.1%. So nothing. Yeah, so you're still doing well. Are you seeing that in Omaha, David? Are you seeing it still being pretty much a seller's market like we are here? I'm assuming you are because you're pretty similar to your stats are pretty similar to what we have. I have another map. I'm going to take this one off and show you this other one. I know this isn't the most interesting stream for people that aren't asking me where they want to see, but this one is home price shift, but it's a little more granular. Yeah, he said, yes, it's still a seller's market.
Nice. Are you paying for ResiClub?
I do, because I really, oh, I got to get the Northeast one. I do. I think that it's worth the money because I really think he's such a good data collector.
Yeah, I agree.
Hang on, I got to stop that one because that one wasn't interactive. And bring up this one. Okay. So this is like a lot more granular. So if I get a little more into like where I am right here, so you can see how before it said 4%, now it says 6.4%. This is literally my zip code where I am in Potomac.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so he's a great data collector. If you David said, don't feel bad. I did find you where you were located. I was very proud of myself. This is just in the Northeast, but just to show you the difference between going so broad and if you get into DC, like really into deep, well, these are all DC zip codes. You can just see like here, let me get in here. Brandywine.
Wow.
1 year, so it's 0.7, but still not negative. All these are DC zip codes. Anyway, I'll get off of that train. I really do want to bring up one more though. This is going to be the county level because county is also more specific to an area, I feel like, than just zip codes and states. Sure. So this is my county, Montgomery County. So Potomac was really specific. That's where I was, my zip code. And then the county, sorry, a little more general is what I meant to say. Yeah. So here you can see 1 year change. Home prices are up 4.8%, 5 year shift, 28.1%. And the reason I keep bringing this up is because there's so much news out there and so much noise that's saying in my area that home prices are going down and everything's changing. And it's just not true. It's just not true. We're still seeing a seller's market here for houses that are priced well and show well.
Sure.
Other ones,
down from 5 years ago, which is typical just about everywhere.
Yeah. I can go into Florida. So you look at these red in Florida. So if you go down here, yeah. Lee County, what county are you?
I'm in Manatee County. So just a little further north. Yep, there you go.
So 1 year change, home prices are down 5.2%, but still up 55% in 5 years. 55%. That's just crazy. Even 3 years ago, home prices were up 8%. It's only the last 2 years.
Yeah, one of the nicest homes we sold. It was a custom built home built by the homeowner. We were excited. It sold for $650,000, And like right when we moved back here, so just about a little over a year ago, it got listed and sold. Are you ready for this? 2.1 million.
Stop.
Nothing done to it. I mean, nothing could have been done to it. It was gorgeous, just a stunningly gorgeous property.
Wow.
Is that insane?
Christina had to go. She got to make dinner. Have a great stream. See you later, girlfriend. And you guys are so funny. She's talking to David. David's talking to you. Appreciate the support. You know, these streams are very stressful, at least for me. All right, let's get rid of this data. Unless there's anybody out there that wants me to look up their location, I will do that. Come on, and I'll bring it up again because I think that I just think it's really interesting to see. And also you can just see, just looking at the map, the different colors, like the orange is where prices are going down the most and the blue is where they're not. And most of the map is blue.
Yeah.
It gets a little yellow here, and you got some red in Texas and some red in Florida and some red in Louisiana. But most of it is blue. Here's a little outlier in Nevada. Which just goes to show that home prices are still going up. And the reason they're still going up is because we don't have enough inventory. Yep. And that's why I wanted to talk to you specifically in Florida, because you say that, you know, there's a lot of builders. Let me get rid of this. Building right now, which is creating more inventory. And there's people leaving the state, which is creating more inventory.
Yep.
And yes, home prices are correcting, but let me go back to 2008. I saw home prices go down 20%. Like literally my home lost its value, 20% of its value, felt like overnight. And it took about 8 to 10 years for it to come back and then to go past it. This is not what I'm seeing now. You know, money is more expensive, and I'm seeing buyers being a lot more particular about what they're going to buy, but there's still just not enough inventory, you know, since the housing pandemic boom, when money was so cheap and people were just buying stuff or refinancing, and they don't want to sell and lose their, you know, low interest rate to offset these prices. I mean, they're coming down a little bit in Florida, but still not compared to 55% going up in the last 5 years.
It's still not really affordable, and we're not even talking about rents. Like rents here are going through the roof as well, too.
Really?
You can imagine lots of big corporations coming in and building entire neighborhoods of rental single family homes that you can rent for $4,500, $6,000, you know, to rent.
So what are you seeing? Like we were talking a little bit before the stream started about, you know, price reductions and, you know, stuff like that. Are you, in your personal business, are you seeing sellers price, you know, what you want them to? Or are they still like a little bit holding on to like the old prices? Well, let's just try this and see what happens. Or are things just changing so fast that really you can't keep up anyway?
For sure. So for example, we have 2 listings now, both phenomenal homes. We listed one, I'm on 5 months now, and I have adjusted the price 5 times. I've never in my, I've sold hundreds of homes, and I've never adjusted the price 5 times. And the feedback I just got 5 minutes before coming off on this live stream was it's priced too high. I expired my first listing in 9 years.
Wow. So how long are our houses staying on the market there? Is 5 months normal?
It depends. Some of them, yeah. I mean, the average days on market is now 95 days in my area.
Wow. Okay.
And some much longer. Like I look at the stats in this neighborhood that I have these 2 listings on, and they're close. I mean, I'm at 135 days on the market, still sitting there, 5 price adjustments. My concern is, I pulled up these stats as well too, and I'm not sure if your multiple listing service is the same, but ours caps out at 5,000. So if there's a number that has more than 5,000 listings, it just says 5,000 plus. So I went back to look to see how many properties expired in the last 6 months. 5,000 plus. So that means in the last 90 days, this was the one that shocked me, because at 90 days, it still says 5,000 plus. So I don't know the number because it doesn't allow me to pull them up, or it doesn't give me the total.
Right.
And then when you get down to 30 days, there were still 3,300 properties to expire. And just today, 111.
I mean, just today.
Just today.
So what do you think is going to happen? I don't have a crystal ball, and I actually hate when people ask me this question, but you know, we've been doing this a long time, you and I. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that like everything's going to calm down? Do you think that prices are just going to have to like get ahead of the market? Are you seeing multiple offers at all on anything right now or no?
I am not hearing of multiple offers in our area just because there's so much competition. So unless
Right.
you like absolutely positively like love that house, I'm not even hearing anybody doing multiple offers. I don't know. I think my area in particular is going to be in a lot of trouble because, like I said, they are building so many homes and they can't stop building the homes, right? When you build a neighborhood, you have a commitment and a timeline to build the neighborhood. And as a homeowner, a resale homeowner, it is extremely challenging to compete with the incentives that home builders are
Right.
offering. Like I did a video this morning. A home builder in a neighborhood is offering like $75,000 toward your closing cost or for whatever you want to use it for, right? And 2 for 1, not 2 for 1, 2 to 1 buy down, meaning that
Okay.
for the first year the interest rate's 4.25, and for the next 30 it's 5.25.
Right.
You're a resale homeowner. It's hard to compete with that.
It is, but I do remember, before all the craziness started, between like 2008 and 2017, whatever, at least my area, that a lot of sellers were offering closing costs around
Oh
here,
yeah, for sure.
They would cover the buyer's closing costs. It was part of the contract. It was pretty, especially for first time buyers, it was pretty
Yeah.
normal. I haven't seen that in a while, and I don't see that coming back in my area anytime soon, just because there still is, well, I'm still seeing multiple offers. I mean, I
Yeah,
have
it's
somebody coming into
incredible.
town from Texas, and he's coming to town, to do just a get to know the area this weekend because they're moving here. Um, and he keeps favoriting properties on my website, on Compass website, and then they keep going under contract. Like I have to create a tour
That's
from this
incredible.
weekend, and he's like,
Yeah.
"What's happening?" I'm like, "Yes, things are go really fast here. They're still going really fast," and that's why I keep saying, like, don't believe the news. Like you have to have all your ducks in a row. You have to know what you want. The lender's got to be ready to go. Like if you want to do an inspection, you got to be ready and prepared to do it before you write the offer in order to be competitive. I mean, we're
That's
just still
incredible.
seeing that here.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing sellers offer credits at closing. We're offering that for our clients. And here's what's interesting that I don't recall ever seeing. That is in the real estate description, like right up front.
What do you mean? Like
Uh,
in the MLS, you're just saying like
and the
sellers
multiple
offering.
listing, yeah, and the multiple listing usually it's like, welcome to this beautiful 3 bedroom, 2 bath home, 1,500 square feet. This one is like $15,000 credit toward buyers, prepaids and closing costs. Oh, and by the way, it's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath home.
But I remember
Lots of
seeing that.
items. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I mean, that was what we used to do, is put the incentives first because people were looking for that. What about, people that really got affected by the hurricane and now they don't have money to rebuild, insurance took off. Where are they going? Like what happened to them?
It was interesting. Like I said, so we drove up the coast from Fort Myers, a little further south than Fort Myers, and I'm sure it's happening in my area. It's visually, I have noticed it, but I noticed it driving home from the south, and that people were living in their RVs on their vacant lot,
Oh
like
God.
on the beach in an RV. And again, I don't know what the game plan is if you did not have insurance.
Right.
Because at this point, now it's, if the last hurricane was October, now you're talking it's good 6+ months. And it doesn't seem like those people were starting on construction. Like there were definitely homes under construction. I'm assuming that this is just assuming that they probably had insurance and got the ball rolling, or maybe they didn't have insurance and they have the cash and they're just building it. But I'm assuming
Right.
that the ones that are living in their RVs like probably did not have insurance and are like don't have a backup plan.
It's like with the California and the fires, I just wonder like if insurance is not helping you, and because I know they're having issues over there as well. Like, what do they do? Like, where do these people live? Like,
Yep.
it kind of breaks my heart. I
Hurry
mean,
up.
we're having a different type of anxiety here in the DC area.
For sure. Like I have definitely seen people selling um, damaged homes as vacant land.
Interesting.
Because I look at the multiple listing surveys and I see, vacant lot for sale, $5 million. You look it up, you can see the house, but it's not listed as a house for sale.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh God,
Um,
that breaks my heart.
or they just could just be, listing it for sale as is, which is why cash sales are up,
Right.
right? Because it is Florida, and prices will come down and prices will go back up again because we heard that after the storm, just like, whoa, people are just going to leave and people are never going to rebuild again. It's like, but that's not true. It's
No.
the beach, and people will build and buy again.
Well, there obviously was incentive for these builders to be doing all this new construction that you mentioned. They picked, the amount of houses they were going to build and the area they're going to build and the cost they were going to build it for a reason. There must have been desire. And because we see how prices have gone up in the 5 years in Florida, clearly there was demand.
For sure, this has been the number one planned community in the country 7 years in a row. It is an anomaly. Like I said, I've talked to tons of real estate agents. I do a lot of these live streams and go to a lot of events. I don't know any planned community that is like this. I mean, 45 neighborhoods. It literally was meant to like live, work, and play here. Like graduate college, buy your first starter condo, which is $200,000, win the lottery, get a great job, buy a $7 million house, and everything in between. It's pretty cool. It's really cool. So there was demand. There will eventually be demand again. Right now, there's just a ton of inventory building up.
Do you want to see where sellers have the most power?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to show you. Do you want me to make you sad? No, sorry.
Can't make me sad.
Sorry.
I got listings to sell.
Okay, so this is by Lance, the same guy. Like you guys can tell, I'm a big fan of his because he's accurate. I'm a data person. I need to see the data. I don't like headlines. But this is Zillow's analysis. So buyers and sellers market. Zillow's analysis for over 250 housing markets. Here are the top metros where sellers and buyers have the most power right now, according to Zillow's most recent analysis. Zillow economists have an economic model called the Zillow Market Heat Index designed to assess the competitiveness of housing markets nationwide. This model evaluates factors like home price fluctuations, inventory levels, days on market, and buyer demand to produce a score that indicates whether a market is hot, benefiting sellers, or cool, benefiting buyers. I have to say, hate to say, but I kind of know where your market is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
A higher score indicates a hotter metro level housing market where sellers have more power. A lower score indicates a colder metro level housing market where buyers have more power. According to Zillow, a score of 70 or above indicates a strong seller's market. Score from 55 to 69 is a seller's market. 44 to 55 would be a neutral market. Finally, a score from 28 to 44 indicates a buyer's market, while 27 or below is a strong buyer's market.
Interesting.
Okay, so we have more dots, but I'll come back up there. First, let me look at the strongest. So nationally, Zillow rates the U.S. housing market at 54. So that's the national number. In its February 2025 reading published in March 2025, which suggests a neutral market. Our country is so big, it's very hard to put us all into one number, Among the 250 largest metro housing markets, there are 10 hottest markets where sellers have the most power. Rochester, New York.
Interesting.
169. Buffalo, New York, which is next to Rochester, New York.
Yep.
San Jose, California, 112. San Francisco, California, 105. Syracuse, New York, near Buffalo. Hartford, Connecticut. Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I went to school. 90. Boston, Massachusetts, where my husband's from, 89. Bridgeport, Connecticut, 89. Seattle, Washington, 86. Interesting because East Coast, West Coast, West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, interesting.
Right?
I can understand San Jose and San Francisco, right? Just a hot tech market for sure. I'd be interested to know the reason behind like Rochester and Buffalo.
Right. Cold, warm, cold.
Yeah.
That's the only kind of and these are the coldest market. Buyers have the most power. Jackson, Tennessee, at 9. Ooh, that's low. Gulfport, is that Mississippi or?
Yep, Mississippi.
Missouri, Mississippi. 18. I say things wrong. Macon, Georgia.
Yeah.
What is it? Macon,
yeah.
Macon. 23. Daphne, Alabama. 25. Brownsville, Texas, 26. Beaumont, Texas, 26. Longview, Texas, 26. Naples, Florida, 28. Punta Gorda, Florida, 30. And Panama City, Florida, 30. Are these near each other?
No, Naples is, pretty far south, but very high end, very luxurious. Punta Gorda is kind of like in that random area. Like it's kind of, I don't want to say it's nowhere's land, but it's not really in the big city. It's kind of in between the big city, but it got a lot of growth during the pandemic. And Panama City's up north, closer to
Okay, so they're
further
not
to
near each
Alabama.
other.
Yeah, closer to Alabama than it is to down here.
Directionally, I believe Zillow has correctly identified many regional housing markets where buyers have gained the most power, particularly around the Gulf, as well as markets where sellers have maintained, relatively speaking, somewhat of a grip, including large portions of the Northeast and Midwest. Based on my personal housing analysis, I consider Southwest Florida the weakest, softest chunk of the U.S. housing market, followed by Texas markets around Austin and San Antonio. What did this Zillow analysis look like back in spring 2022, at the climax of the pandemic housing boom? Below is Zillow's February 2022 reading, published in March of 2022. This is
Yeah, imagine that.
interesting.
Yeah.
This is, so 70, wait, higher score is a hotter metro area.
Yep.
And lower score is a colder. So look at this, Florida, all red.
Yep. All red.
All red. There's no blue. I mean, this is a little softer down at the very bottom of Florida. Yeah, that's about it here.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
yeah, it's wild. It's just wild how different
And
different parts of your country are.
Yeah. A couple of years later, things are changing. Yeah, I don't know where the bottom falls out here.
Would you ever go back to Hawaii?
Yes, they're going through a whole different change right now too, with changing the kind of short-term vacation rental rules. And lots of people are selling there. Lots of people are moving out. The economy is not picked up. We have friends who, in a million years, if you said, "Hey, which one of your friends are going to move from Hawaii next?" and they arrived in Florida today.
Wow.
And, cross my fingers, hoping that they're going to come see us Sunday. But if you told me like a year ago that they'd be moving off of Maui, I'd be like, "There's just no chance." And now they left today, last night.
I mean, like we both said, where there's price corrections, there is opportunity. And seeing that Florida prices in your area went up 55% over the last 5 years, coming down 6.9% may feel shocking, especially if you bought a year ago or you bought 2 years ago. But it's just a correction. It's not a crash.
It's a correction. Correct. It's a correction. I did a video today. Not a market crash. It's a correction. I don't know where the bottom is. Is it going to fall 50%? It's probably not going to fall 50%. It's going to fall 30%. Like I said, we can't predict the future. I don't think it's going to fall 30% because I think, and you've probably heard this before too, I don't think interest rates are going to drop this year. Just my opinion. I don't think they're going to be in the fives, maybe by the end of fourth quarter, but let's just say, for argument's sakes, it's 2026. Once they hit in the fives, the market's going to start to move again.
Yeah.
Our sellers will be willing to give up their 2, 3, 4% interest rates. And then buyers will be willing to buy. And when that happens, I think prices are actually going to go up again everywhere, not just in Florida, because now there's going to be competition.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I also think like I call it interest rate fatigue. I kind of made that up. I don't know if anyone else is using that. But I think that like people like me who did refinance in 2021 for a ridiculous low, below 3% rate, I always thought when my kids were in college, I would become an empty nester. I mean, I became an empty nester. I would move into the city, into DC, or just, I don't know, just out of the suburbs. I don't know what I thought, but just out of the suburbs, this is my kid's house, but it's just too cheap to stay, like why would I give up this home when it's cost less for me to stay to then go buy something with a much higher interest rate that's not going to be as big and it's going to cost more? It makes no sense. But I don't really have to go anywhere. My house isn't that big that it's overwhelming. I'm okay. There are a lot of people I know that are going to get the interest rate fatigue. They're going to be like, listen, I wanted to downsize when I was an empty nester, just using my own example. And I, for the first year, I thought I'm not going to, it's too much of a difference. The second year, all right, now we're in the third year. Interest rates aren't really going anywhere. I need to make a lifestyle change because I want to. And then we're going to see more inventory organically come on the market, resale inventory. Even if they're still in the sixes, I'm saying, even if it doesn't go
Oh,
below
yeah.
6.
Yep. We'll see. I think the stats are something like 65% of homeowners have an interest rate below 4%, and I think 50% said that they will not sell unless they get into the fives.
Right. Not yet. Not
Not
yet.
yet. Yeah.
Kathy says, hit thumbs up. Thank you. By the way, y'all, if we don't have a lot of people on live, thank you if you are on live. I do appreciate it because it makes it more fun for us, for you guys to interact with us. And if you want me to pull up one of those interactive maps and check in your area, if I can find it, no guarantee, I will try. But if you're watching this on the replay, I am almost at 10,000 subscribers. I know it's a metric that's like a vanity metric, but I'm like 100 away. And so, yeah, if you want to help me out and go on my YouTube channel and subscribe, it'd be nice to just hit that milestone. You know, we work so hard making these videos. It's just
That's
a little
right.
bit like kudos. So just because you said the thumbs up, it reminded me of that. So thanks, Kathy.
Nice.
So what are your plans? I mean, you're staying in Florida, right? You're not.
Yeah, we're staying in Florida, so we are renting, believe it or not, because when we moved back to Lakewood Ranch from Maui, like I said, when we moved, there were 10 neighborhoods. So when we came back and there's 45, we were like, I don't know where we're going to live.
So you're a great person to ask then. If you're renting, you're seeing
Yeah.
prices come down. What are your thoughts? Like, put yourself in a buyer's mindset now. Are you going to wait? Are you waiting for interest rates to go down? Or you're like going to take advantage of the prices going down now? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so we're in a year lease starting from December. And great, hopefully my landlord is not listening, but his property, the one I'm living in, was listed for sale and failed to sell. So he rented it. And it is mind blowing of what the price it was that it failed to sell it. So prices are going to come down. They're going to continue to come down, which means by the time this lease expires, it will probably be worth less than it was when it failed to sell when it came off the market back in December. So yeah, I would buy this house in a heartbeat. That being said, I've been doing weekly videos on the new construction builder incentives. It's just mind blowing. So I never say never. I'd like to buy this house. My wife and I would like to buy this house.
Yeah.
For a whole lot of reasons. But man, those builder incentives are just ridiculous. So, and this is an older house, which I don't mind at all whatsoever. I like the neighborhood, love the location, love everything about the house. But man, comes like September, if prices are down more, which they're probably going to be, and those builder incentives, the builder incentives are still going to happen, but they're probably going to be even more incredible because I know that there are, like, we did a video today at the newest neighborhood, like barely even started. There's probably like 5 houses, 10 houses done of 900. Those 900 are not going to be done by the end of the year, so there's going to be even more homes sitting. So I guess to answer your question, yes, we will buy.
Right. That's hard to resist, to buy a brand new home.
Hard to resist, and it's tough for a resale seller to compete with those. That being said, not everybody wants new construction. Not everybody wants to wait 12 to 18 months because even though they're still building, that's how long it's going to take. Some people need move in right now. But yeah, I mean, yeah, of course we're going to buy because I am one of those who believe that even though prices are coming down, they will absolutely be worth more than they are today in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
I agree. Also, the HOAs might be more in the new construction. Jimmy says real estate will always be worth buying. As Mark Twain said, buy land last I checked, buy land, no one making it anymore. Wait, I just say that right? Buy land. Buy land last I checked, buy land, no one making it anymore. Yeah, I just said it wrong.
And I don't know if you know that's about me, but before we moved to Maui, I specialized in land.
Did you?
I'm still the number 6 agent in my region, even though I left for 5 years.
I never really got into the land, into homes. I mean, here, the builders here, because there is new construction happening here, not a lot. We don't have a lot of, places to build, but there are no incentives. I mean, in fact, they're like, they look at, real estate professionals like, we don't need you.
Yeah, we don't need you. And this area got that way because it was just booming and they didn't need us. And I know when we left and we're not here, they weren't paying commissions to agents. At least
Have you heard about Have you heard about the latest about, the new administration wanting to build on federal land and, taking action to do that? Have you heard about that?
I've heard
I
that.
mean, I think that this is not the first administration to want to do that. I believe the last two tried the
Yeah.
same thing, and for whatever reason, it hasn't happened yet. I think that there's a lot more that goes into just like, we'll take this and we'll build here and we'll do here.
Yeah.
And you got a
For
lot
sure.
of infrastructure, a lot of commercialization needs to happen, a lot of
Yeah.
permitting, they're trying to loosen permits. I'm all for loosening permits when they're so on top of each other. Like I live in a city that's in a county that's in a state. So I
Yeah.
get triple checked everything. And it's like, I don't know if I need that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But not so loose that like people aren't safe. Like
Yeah.
there's got to be some permitting restrictions because that's the reason they were there to begin with, to
Yeah.
make sure things are done properly and inspections are done properly and things pass because they're done properly. We don't want to lose all of that.
For sure. I did a short video about that topic, and it's obviously not my area of expertise, but I did a lot of research for that one, and it sounds great in theory. The challenge is that a lot of that land is like in rural parts of the country. So it's
Right.
not like in DC they're buying 1,000 acres of land that's just outside of DC to build this to help with the inventory issues, right? It's like out in the desert.
They're literally where I am, and I'm like right outside of DC. I can be in DC in about 15 minutes. They're taking parking, like there was a parking lot. There was a Lifetime gym and a parking lot. Now that parking lot is literally going to be like hundreds of homes. And I'm like, where are these cars going to drive?
Yeah.
They're going to go, the grocery store I go to is right around the corner. They're not going to walk there because it's groceries, right? They're going to drive around the corner and it's going to be impossible to go there. Like it's crazy where they are building around here. Like places you never think could have a house on it. All of a sudden there's not one, but like many, many homes on it. It's real and selling for, by the way, like starting at 1.2 million.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think you and I talked about this because I used to live in your area. I lived in Alexandria. And even at that time, I couldn't afford Alexandria. So the least expensive that I could afford at that time was like Manassas or Loudoun County, where I was like, there's just no way people are ever going to move out to Loudoun County. It's just way too far from DC. And
I know Loudoun County is expensive now.
Now the metro goes out there and they're looking to eat. I can't remember what's or west of there or what's west of Loudoun County, but they're looking at that area now too, right?
Well, I'm in Maryland. I am licensed in Virginia and I do go over there, but I got to tell you, it is so frustrating and I had my friend David Massey, who lives in Virginia, on the stream last week, and he says the same about coming here. There's so much construction. There's only so many ways you can get from from Maryland to Virginia, over DC. It's just every time I go there, I scream. I don't want to go.
And in traffic.
I'm like, but I have a doctor that's there. I have a doctor in DC. I have a doctor in Virginia. I have a doctor in Maryland. That's the beauty about living in this area, is that you actually have access to so many different amenities, whether it's, health related or anything you're into. Like I can pop over to Virginia and to DC and to, Maryland and wherever I am, and so that's really the beauty of it. But the traffic is brutal.
Here too. Tons of road construction and the traffic. So we're a seasonality. So December to April, population doubles with snowbirds, and the traffic is just brutal.
Yeah, I don't know if I told you, but my parents live in Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know did I tell you that? I mean, they live there half the time. Yeah. So they both, they're divorced, but they both live in Boca separately.
Yep.
Not together. That would be weird, being divorced, living together. So
I've seen it happen before, right? You can't afford housing.
my dad lives with his wife of 40 years. That would be really weird, but they're friends.
Yeah.
Way too much information, by the way, Mom. Sorry.
TMI.
She's like, what are you talking about? She watches these too. Sorry. Anyway.
Hey, Mom. Yeah.
They all live in Boca. So they go down there for the winter and they come back and, up here for the summer months. And then my niece just committed to University of Tampa.
Oh, okay.
So
Excellent.
So she's excited. She's going to be there in the fall. So I got a lot of Florida connections. So I'm really, I agree with you that I understand that right now it's not great, because especially for resale, for your sellers that are resale, for the buyers, they have lots of choices. So I don't really feel bad for them, but for the sellers, it's tough. It's tough. And I especially feel bad for people that really lost their homes during the hurricanes, and if they're having insurance issues and flooding issues and all of that, that just really breaks my heart. But I
Yep.
do agree with you that it will come back
Yeah,
because
it will come back.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
just too much good stuff about Florida, that people really love, whether it's retirement friendly, that type of stuff, or the weather, or just, outdoor activities, easy living, stuff like that. I think that people have the assumption that the cost of living is low in Florida, not where my parents live, by the way.
It's not anywhere anymore.
It's gone up as well in the last 5 years.
Everything is just, and that's why a lot of people moved here during the pandemic because it was cheap, and now it's
Right.
not. And a lot of them are leaving. I mean, 'cause everything went up, right? Obviously, the cost of goods went up. Will they come back down again? I don't know. I mean, are eggs ever going to be $2 a dozen? I'm not sure. Everything goes up, right? I want gas to be 89 cents like it was back in the 70s. It's just not going to be 79 cents. Right?
Right.
Will it come down a little bit? Yeah, but everything is more expensive. Everything. And
I
regardless of
know.
who the president is, those prices are never going to be down enough where everyone's like, oh, yeah, now it's cheap.
I just, something's got to give a little bit right now. I mean, where I am, like, you can feel the tension just because, I mean, I'm in DC, I mean, I don't know if outside of this area you feel it as much as you do here, but it's just omnipresent. We kind of can't get away from it. You look up, there's a president's helicopter, you talk to
Yeah.
somebody, they're doing this, they're doing that. And it's just always been that way, but it feels more palpable right now, I think, because you throw in not just what's happening in our housing market, but what's happening overseas, what's happening with the federal workers and contractors and people losing their jobs. People don't know if they're losing their jobs or not. People
Yeah.
having to go back to work where there's no space for them. I actually know people that this is happening to. They have to go back in the office. They don't have a desk. They're like sitting there with their
Right. Yeah.
computer on their
Right.
lap.
Yeah. Or people
You
just
know,
being called back to work. That's a whole different topic of conversation.
are you seeing that down there too, though?
I'm not seeing so much in Florida, but I definitely know that there are definitely companies who are like, yeah, you got to come back to work. And you're like, but I just moved, I just moved out to the suburbs during the
Right.
pandemic. I'm not near the city anymore.
Right. I know. I had
So it's
one
not
of my
happening
clients.
here, but it's definitely happening.
Yeah, I had one of my clients that was all set to, we're going to list their house. They're moving to Nevada, the better quality of life for their family. And nope, he's got to go back to work.
Go back to work. Yep.
Got to stay here. He's got to go back to the office. He was always working, just working remotely,
Yeah.
and now he's got to go back in. I don't know. I would like a more balanced market here because I don't like people waiving inspections. I don't like that type of urgency. I was telling you, we recently bought a home in Delaware, and that urgency was on us as buyers, and it felt really bad. We didn't like it. We went along with it. We were multiple offers, and we won the house. We had to pay for it, but we
Yeah.
won it. And then did the inspection after, and that was fun. But I would like a more balanced market here. I would like it,
It's
I
stressful.
would like to. Yeah, I don't mind working harder. I don't mind negotiating inspections. I don't mind getting my contractors out there to give you estimates to see what it's. I'm fine with all that. I would rather work more and it be fair and people get a house that they know what they're getting than just coming in and it's like, here's what we got to do. You want to get the house? I'm gonna tell you what you got to
Yeah.
do. You may not like it, but this is what you got to do.
Yeah. That's how it was when we were on Maui. It's great for a lot of, it's fun and it's exciting, but yeah, it's stressful and it's not good waiving your inspections and going way over asking price and closing
Yeah.
fast. And yeah, I hear you.
I
But
assume you guys are.
on the flip side, yeah, it's stressful too. It's stressful because I'm sympathetic to my sellers who,
I know.
trying to figure out how to sell a house in this changing economy. Going back to that too, I know you're talking about, are you finding sellers not realistic? I talked to somebody like, now it's like 9 or 10 months ago. They wanted to list it. I can't remember the exact number, like 950. I was like, the most expensive one to ever sell ever was like 880. Yours is probably going to have a 7 in it. Obviously, they did not want to hear that one, so they hired the real estate agent who told them the price that they wanted to hear. And then 181 days later,
God.
I knocked on his door because it expired. Interviewed for the job, showed him the data, and again, here's where you're going to be. It was in the 7s. Obviously, did not like that. So again, for the second time, hired the agent who told them the price that they wanted to hear.
What price was it at now? What price was it at 6 months?
So when it expired at 7.
Oh man.
50. He relisted it at like 765.
So it'd gone down 200,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then still went with the agent who told him the price. So listed it higher than it was when it expired. And I haven't checked recently, but that was 3 months ago, and it's still on the market, I think, at the same price.
Oh gosh. I
And the
mean,
price is coming down. It's not going to sell for obviously that price.
no. Chasing
Yeah.
the market is never going to work. Never.
Yeah.
If anybody is watching this, whether it's live on the replay and you're thinking about selling your home, listen to what Adam's saying. These are real stories. If you chase the market, which is what this seller did, that he's talking about, started 950, then expired 6 months later at 760, and now is trying again. Your house has been on the market already. People have seen it. They've seen what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's stale, You're never going to do as well as if you price it right or even just slightly under in a market like yours at the beginning.
Yeah. And I always love to say, like, kind of sarcastically, but professionally, listen, there's nothing more that I love than breaking records. And I would love to get 950 for your house. But I've seen the picture, and I'll send it to you too, of what the house looked like, right? It's a typical neighborhood, right? So your house and my house are the same, different views, but same, basically the same, right? Your house doesn't look like that. That sold for 880. Just didn't have as nice of a pool, didn't have ports, didn't have just all the upgrades. And that's going to be the benchmark. Like, that's what somebody who puts an offer in is going to go, oh, wow, this house sold for 880 and it was stunningly gorgeous. And here's this other one, same model, same layout, same floor plan, different finishes for even more.
Kiss of death. I always say that overpricing a house is a kiss of death. Well, we do something here. I don't know if you guys do it down there, but we do a lot of private sales here. I don't know if you guys do that in Florida. Especially my brokerage Compass. It's one of the reasons I switched to Compass after being 18 years with another broker. I switched to Compass 2 years ago because they have a huge private exclusive network.
Yeah, I know about that. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it works out because then actually you can try a price. The seller can try, we call it an aspirational price, because you never know. And it can't be too crazy because then it's just silly, but an aspirational price. And it works a lot of times because the buyer will pay that premium to not be in competition.
Right.
So I've sold both as representing buyers and my listings privately over the last 5 years. And it works for everybody, everybody's happy, and a lot of times it's a normal transaction with an inspection and everything. It's just the price is different, but like I said, everybody's happy because the buyer doesn't have to be in competition.
Yeah.
So we do that a lot of private sales up here. If it works, it works. And if it doesn't, you put it on the market.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Because I gotta tell you, a stale listing, a house that's been on for a while and is chasing the market, they're better off they're better off taking their house off the market, letting it for up here. It has to be off for at least 91 days before the days on market will reset. Yeah.
30 year.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
But so the old days on market don't come up at all after 30 days?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
But the difference is, and I've had this conversation with my clients, the difference is that the history is still there.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have a history button in the multiple listing service, not for the public, but the public can see it anyway, right? Because, oh yeah, I remember that one on Zillow from, 8 months ago. So, and the challenge with that, at least from my perspective, is that, yes, you take it off the market, but what's the real estate market going to look like in 60 days from now?
Well, they'd have to take it off and maybe, they'd have to take it off and make it look a little different, like I don't know what the house looks like, but if it's been sitting that long chasing the market, if it were my client, I'd be like, let's take it off. Let's either repaint it, restage it, redo this, do something. We got to change it up.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's 3 years old, 2.5 years
old.
old.
No, really?
Yep.
Damn.
And here's the challenge, because that same builder is building a brand new construction.
Right.
So I can buy that same model, nicer, newer, better, for probably the same price.
I didn't realize it was just 3 years old. Oh boy. Well, you have a challenge on your hands, my friend.
It's a challenge, right? Where do you think I get these gray hairs from?
Oh my gosh. I know. I'm going gray too. Well, thanks for coming on and just sharing kind of what's happening in Florida. I think, like we both said, it will turn, and where there is price corrections, it's not a housing market crash, there is opportunity. There's opportunity for investors. There's opportunity for buyers, for renters that maybe couldn't get in before. You never know. You might buy your own house and also buy another house and has an investment property.
That
I
might
mean,
be a possibility as well too, because and it's interesting because I've done the math. I was like, gosh, if we bought this house and then spent $100,000 to put in a pool, I can't buy today a house this size with a pool for that price.
right. What are you
Interesting.
thinking?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go make
Appreciate
some
you having me
dinner.
on.
Thanks for coming on. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, which is Sarasota. It's about an hour south of Tampa. You can find me on YouTube, 941 Lifestyle Group. I'm Adam Miller.
Hey, when I'm in Florida, when I'm in Tampa visiting my niece, you have to come meet me. You're only an hour away from Tampa?
Yeah, only an hour from Tampa. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I just did a video about that too, because we have the Tampa Bay Bucks, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Tampa Bay Lightning Bolts, the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Hopefully the Tampa Bay Rays are staying here, but we will see about that one. But yeah, lots of cool things to do. We're going to St. Pete tomorrow night. Go see a concert.
Nice.
Even closer.
All right, my friend. Have a great night. Y'all, thanks for
joining
us. Thanks for joining us live. Thanks for watching on the replay. If you are watching us on the replay and you want to join us live next week, 6 p.m., we will be here. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.